Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. As longtime viewers will know, I've been helping dig sandstone tunnels at a friend's rural property known as Sandland. Recently, a few Sandland volunteers visited Europe. While there, we came across some interesting features that were often found in the gardens of royal or wealthy families: follies and grottos. The dictionary defines an architectural folly as a whimsical or extravagant structure built to serve as a conversation piece. Usually these have no practical purpose and were just built for fun. A lot of European gardens and estates in the old days featured weird towers, fake ruins, small-scale castles, or other odd decorations. Similarly, a grotto is a cave-like feature sometimes found in gardens and landscaping. They're often built as a folly or for a similar decorative purpose. These also show up in various religions. In the US, they're usually just a weird outdoor closet with a plaster saint in them, but the more traditional and extravagant ones can have multiple statues, pillars, stairways, waterfalls, and other decorations. We saw several examples of these follies and grottos in the gardens of Versailles in France. Traditionally the home of the ruling family, the Versailles palace grounds were landscaped in a variety of styles by various French kings and queens. In particular, the gardens of the Petit Trianon were Marie Antoinette's private domain and featured several follies. The largest was an entire fake farming village constructed in the 1780s. The queen also had several grottos or rock formations, including a small cave supposedly used for discreet encounters. Reportedly, this was also where Marie Antoinette received word of citizens marching on the palace during the French Revolution. There's also a larger artificial rock formation or fountain that was built nearby as part of the English-style garden. Follies were more popular in England than the rest of Europe, so this might be the inspiration for some of this landscape design. The octagonal gazebo or temple structure on the adjacent lake is labeled as a folly in several articles. The biggest folly or grotto we saw at Versailles was Apollo's Bath. This was originally built in the 1670s and then rebuilt by Louis XVI in the late 1770s. It has several artificial caves and waterfalls surrounding various statues. So Carl, when are we building this at Sandland?
Next year.
Okay, great.
Once the grant comes through.
Unfortunately, climate change and drought have taken their toll on Versailles just as elsewhere. The gardens were all fairly brown and unimpressive when we visited. Most of the fountains were turned off or restricted to short scheduled times. Marie Antoinette's section of the gardens were actually the nicest and best looking, although they're kind of off to the side of the main palace grounds. So, this brings us back to my question: could Sandland's tunnels and structures be considered follies and grottos? They certainly meet some of the criteria, being built mainly for fun or entertainment, and with no real practical purpose. However, Sandland is a standalone property, not part of a garden or larger estate. Can an entire property be a folly? Let's look at some other DIY tunnels. It turns out there's a whole Wikipedia article on hobby tunneling. It's a pastime practiced by everyone from artists to engineers. Famous computer designer Seymour Cray even dug a tunnel in his basement in the same general region as Sandland. A 1976 symposium on subterranean studies defined 4 major reasons for humans to dig tunnels: mining, storage, transport, and amusement. Everything from catacombs to military bunkers to sewer tunnels were classified into one of these categories. The last category, amusement, included follies, grottos, landscaping, and other fun tunnels. Some of the most well-known, if little understood, hobby tunnels are found in the sandstone under Liverpool, England. While quite extensive, these early 1800s caverns seem to have no practical use. Historians are still uncertain if they were an art project, a folly, or just a way to employ locals during a recession. Descriptions of some English follies and grottos can be found in old newsletters published by the group Subterranea Britannica. These give an interesting glimpse into the design of hobby tunnels, elements of which show up independently at Sandland. For example, a tunnel system known as Scott's Grotto contains several teaser glimpses of rooms only reachable by other routes. This is something the owner of Sandland is also planning. In California, an Italian immigrant named Forestier excavated cellars and tunnels near Fresno. Some think he was inspired by the catacombs and wine cellars of his home country. The tunnels and underground rooms are now a historic landmark and open for tours. It turns out there are people still creating follies in modern times. A British ambassador built a series of caves, tunnels, and decorative architecture on his estate in the 1980s, naming it the Forbidden Corner. It was open to the public in the 90s. This apparently caused some drama with the local planning commission, which didn't like the idea. With all this in mind, I would say that Sandland could be considered a folly. Some people might say the whole idea of digging your own tunnels is folly, as in the first through third definitions of being foolish, a foolish action, or a foolish undertaking. However, I would definitely say that Sandland fits the pattern of an excavation for amusement, a fun project, a thing built for its own sake and no other purpose. Perhaps it's a form of art, as with Rob Paulette's intricate sandstone tunnels in New Mexico. While my own excavations at Sandland have been semi-practical, like digging a bar, I definitely plan to add some decorative touches that don't have any real purpose. Other volunteers have focused more on the artistic or whimsical approach, such as Dave's Globe Maze. And of course there's Eric's underground pretzel maze, designed for the sole purpose of getting people lost. It's kind of like a hedge maze, but with more sand. I definitely enjoyed seeing some of the historic grottos and follies over in France. Maybe someday I can visit a few in England. There are reportedly some mysterious sandstone tunnels which sound pretty similar to Sandland, such as this one in Beckbury. I hope you've enjoyed this brief look at some of the weird things people build for no good reason. Hopefully Sandland makes more sense in the historical context of follies and grottos. If not, then at least it's still an entertaining property filled with silly things. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.